You're going to want to text us about this.
So I've seen all this stuff you've put up on Facebook and like what we in the radio business call a tease.
Oh, yeah.
You got to be listening tomorrow morning, you said yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to drop a bomb.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? What's this bomb story that you've got to share?
I kind of had a bug hair up my butt yesterday that I wanted to go do some research.
You are sensitive.
Yeah, I am.
Please continue.
And I wanted to go do some research on a couple of things. I wanted to look at some old minutes. The minutes from the city council are online beginning in 2002. But I wanted to see some stuff before that. So I called down there and I said, well, I had to go.
What was the motivation for this?
Well, I want to look at airport authority. I was wanting to look at airport authority appointments. I wanted to see how those were handled by the council. That was one of the reasons I went. But I also went for a couple other. I was looking at budget stuff and all that. So I called down there and I said, hey, I'm on the way. I got to stop at the city attorney's office for something to pick up something they have for me there. But I want to look at minutes. Let's start with 1990. And I said, is it a big process? Can you get the book out for me? Yeah, we'll get the book out for you. So I'll go down there, teeter-totter in there, and get the 1990 book out. Start with January, whatever the date was.
You and your bug hair.
Yeah. And Robert, I don't get very far into the 1990 book when I find something that is astonishing.
29 years ago.
Astonishing.
What you got?
On the date of January 23rd, 1990, okay? Shreveport had a total police and fire department, a total number of police and firefighters combined of 500. 500 police and fire. Our population at that time was over 200,000. 204,000 or something like that. I'm getting the census data together now.
Let me get these numbers in my head.
Mm-hmm.
So in 1990, 29 years ago, we had 500 combined police and fire and a city population of just over 200,000.
Yes.
Okay,
dial that to today. We have a population now estimated at, we're going to do a census obviously next year, but the latest census numbers have us at 192,000.
Okay, so we've lost about
We've lost 8,000 people.
Okay.
We've lost 8,000 people. I want you to tell me how many total police and firefighters we have today. We had 500 30 years ago.
For 200,000 plus people.
Mm-hmm.
And now we have 194,000.
192,000, yeah.
I knowing the way things work, let me guess and say 800, 900.
We now have today, from what I'm told, a combined Shreveport police and fire force of 1,100 people. 1,100. We have more than doubled our police and fire force in 30 years.
While losing
8,000 residents. Now, there's going to be those that are going to say, but we've expanded. We've taken in lots more neighborhoods, Southern Trace being one.
The geographic area
we have more land space
is markedly
today.
larger.
We have more land space, but we have fewer calls for service. Fewer calls for service to both Shreveport Police and Fire. I'm going to get those numbers. I'm going to uncover all this.
You know what we need to know? How many fire stations did we have at that point in time?
Oh, that's a good point, too.
In other words, I don't know how many there are now, 12, 13. I have no idea. My brother would know. I can text him in a second.
But the problem, and I love police and firefighters, don't get me wrong, but the problem is you've got this pension system that, they stay on, they get great benefits, but we have a lot of them that are not retiring. When they hit the 25 or 30 year mark, they're staying on. And guess what they're not doing? They're not in patrol. They're not fighting fires. Some of them in the fire department are being driven around. They're assistant chiefs or whatever you call them. Some in the police department are assistant chiefs or they're captains. And they're not out chasing bad guys.
Yes, what you're telling me is that I don't know, so I'm asking you. Is what you are telling me is, and I'm assuming at this point you've done a little more research and that you have talked to people in the know.
I have.
Are you telling me that those departments are to some degree mid and upper management heavy?
They're way upper management heavy. And the problem with that is I've told you my stories about state government. The same thing happening there. The same thing happening with the school system. It's this government bloat that seems to feed on itself. And you'll hear people say, we need more police officers. We need more police officers. No, we have. Let's just say, cut that number in half. We have more than 500 police officers. We had fewer than 300 30 years ago with a greater population. It's government feeding on itself and just never letting. We need a complete revamp of those two agencies. We need to tell that Johnny, you're 30 years on the force. I'm sorry, bud, you're going back on patrol. We have a crime problem. We're gonna ride two men to a car now. Hop in the car. You're going with the young rook. You're riding with the rookie. You're getting behind it from behind. And the thing that bothers me the most about this is think of the technology that's changed for police and firefighters. They don't do handwritten reports anymore. They don't have my job's gotten hugely easier with computers. I used to have to type news on a typewriter. Think of their job, how it's changed so much.
So tell me, we got about 30 seconds. What is your next step? What are you going to do next? You've thrown this out there. This is out there now.
I've dropped the bomb. It hadn't
Here's what
exploded.
Erin McCarty says.
Well, I'm going to do some research. I'm going to do more research on, land areas, how many more, how many more fire stations. Is the number greater? What is our staffing level? How is our staffing level in the police? I'm putting a post up at keelnews.com today, but it's government bloat at its finest, and no one has the huevos to say, let's look at this. How have we let it get out of control?
Was she even close with the pronunciation on that word? I didn't think so either.
Not even close.